de regreso a nuestro programa panorámico. Estamos en la entrevista con Paul Jensen, uno de nuestros líderes académicos. Paul, we were speaking about the collide of two generations, one that understands very well new technology as art, as an industry, and maybe people that are a little bit older have a little bit of a problem working or understanding how it's working this in their life or maybe in media.
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and I understand both points of view because I think from the young generation's point of view, video games have matched the level of art, for example, in movies like Star Wars or Indiana Jones with the equivalent of Mass Effect and Uncharted. And there's definitely many artistic elements to games right now. But at the same time, where is our There Will Be Blood or No Country for Old Men in video games? And I think the future lies in both having the big game companies creating amazing games like Black Ops, while at the same time independent game companies emerging with riskier games that perhaps challenge more artistic ideas. And it's just a matter of more people getting into the field and more interest in different types of games, a variety of games. So I think the future is very hopeful right now.
I think that's a very interesting point to explore. Maybe this part you say, when you teach machinima and video game, you try to get them, get people and public and the player passionate about what they are experiencing. But this would be maybe a shift to knowledge, to art appreciation, to reflection. So maybe we will have like another generation of video games, new platforms. That's what you're trying to say is we're moving maybe to a more mature way of making new media?
Hopefully. I mean, I think the idea is there's just going to be so much variety out there. As more people get involved in games, both in the industry and as an audience, I think the demand will be more varied. So we can have games like Mass Effect, while at the same time a game the equivalent of Schindler's List or Gone with the Wind.
And in everyday life, for example, these new technologies that are coming to our life, QR code. Maybe you go through a mall and you receive a discount for a store. This kind of new experience, immersive experience for people, how do you see they are going to integrate narratives, video games, and machinima, for example?
I think it really comes down to everyone's identity being under evaluation. People like to have their technology be an extension of themselves or be a part of themselves. It's kind of like the whole David Cronenberg thing, emerging with technology, and our vision of ourselves is under reevaluation right now in terms of coming up with an identity and in all aspects of technology.
In your generation, my generation, it was like a very big thing or a myth to make filmmaking, to get actually to have a 35 millimeter or 16 millimeter camera. Mm-hmm. People now are doing that with a very cheap camera, smartphone, whatever. What happens here? What's going on? How do you think audiences will receive this cheap technology to work narratives and interaction with other people?
Well, I think it'll come down to the market being flooded with so much stuff. And I mean, you look at even some of the film festivals, like Sundance Film Festival, every year it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So there will be a lot of, not so good material, but it's a matter of just filtering through that. And I do believe that good work prevails and good work spreads. People see it, people notice it, people talk about it, and it lasts.
In terms of challenge, going a little bit backwards to the pedagogical part, what challenges you will face with this new generation, how it will shift narratives and script structure and your work finally?
I think the biggest challenge with the new generation is taking the time to experience something. There's a desire for everything to go by really quickly and take it and digest it. And I think we need to sometimes slow down and really look carefully. And occasionally I see that with some of the students' work. I see certain machinimas that are really slightly more poetic or introspective, and that's inspiring because they're taking the time to look around and wake up to their world.
In terms of structure in schools, how does that change our way we teach people to interact or to build stories. Do you think it has, since the moment you started to teach to right now, are you doing the same things? You're moving along, you're trying to use video games in your classes, how it works inside the structure of the schools and of the classes?
I'm finding more and more, I'm amazed at how smart some of the young students are and how experienced they are with technology. So they're definitely bringing a lot to the classroom in terms of implementing the latest technology. But the fundamentals remain the same quite a bit. It's just the technology are just new tools.
And let's say from here to 10 years, how do you think it will be? Do you think we'll have the same technology? Do you think the generations will adapt to these pervasive, interactive ways of living their own lives? Or we're gonna shift to another scheme or another platform, or what's going on from here to 10 years?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Spooky question.
Yeah. I think the term video games will be going under a transition, and we'll be calling it something like interactive narrative. And we'll get to a point where we'll be entering these virtual worlds where we'll experience stories, but we'll play a part of them. So it's both not just a passive viewing experience, but a complete interaction with it.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you once again, Paul. We're short of time. Agradecer mucho a nuestro público, agradecerle por estar aquí con nosotros en Panorámico. Paul Jensen, uno de nuestros líderes académicos, les agradecemos mucho por su presencia.